Alright, welcome back to Aussie Arvos. Now, last time you would have seen we did a heap of work to the underneath of this car. Pretty much all the way to here. It's all brand new underneath, which is awesome, but you'll see the top half of this car still looking quite sad. So that's exactly what we're addressing today. So for you guys who know my 80 series, you know the paint's not that great. All the clear coat's gone on it, it's scratched, it's fading. And yeah, we really want to give it a respray, and I'm definitely going to do it for the rebuild. But before we can even think about doing that, we've got to replace some of these panels because there's torn panels, there's big dents, and it might not look that bad on camera, but if you see it in person, you'll see there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed here. So I want to get some new panels, and the best way to do that and the cheapest way is going to be going to a wreckers and hopefully finding a red 80 series, one without a snorkel in it. So let's get in the car, head down to a few wreckers and see what we can find. Look at him go. So this is what just cost me an arm and a leg to get 3 panels for the 80 series. He's not giving us the flare, even though it's got a massive hole in it, but
I reckon you're gonna have to get flares from somewhere else anyway.
yeah, I think so. I mean, the flares are the one thing you can buy online. These guards, you can't buy online. So, and the fact that it hasn't got a snorkel hole in it is, yeah, really important. So, I always wonder why these cars get wrecked in the first place. Like, this one doesn't have any crazy panel damage or anything. I'm not sure.
And it blew up.
Yeah, that's it. What was in it? 1F ZFE, there you go. Door off, guard off, loader on up. All right, so we've just left the wreckers. Did we get scammed, do you reckon, Liam, or swindled?
I wouldn't say we got scammed. I mean, we definitely didn't get a steal, that's for sure. But
yeah, it's kind of hard when you're looking for something specific.
but if that's the reality, I mean, if it's that hard to find a red LandCruiser with straight panels, then maybe that's how much they're worth. So.
Well, they're only gonna get rarer, so, I mean, you gotta get them now while you can, so. The collection begins. So now that we've got all our panels, we can start by pulling off these guards. So I've got to get the scuttle panel off, heaps of bolts everywhere, bull bar off. There's heaps of stuff to do, so I'm just going to get straight into it and start getting all these panels off the car.
I think it's probably safe to say this is the last time this bull bar will be on this car.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the old thing, getting retired. Had a good life, probably saving from a few animals. So yeah, no, it's definitely did its job. Living where we live anyway, you need these. Like if I want to protect that front grille, which they're very hard to get, I've looked into it. Yeah, you want a bull bar. Should have ice blast the engine, babe. Did you see the new Prado 250 or whatever doesn't have gas struts?
Really?
Yeah, no gas struts.
Where'd you see that in Ronnie's video?
Yeah.
Wow, what a joke.
Even the 80 series has gas struts, and a brand new Prado from 2024 has no gas struts. It's like, what do you... They don't want you to work on your own car, that's why. It's like...
That's crazy.
All right, so now that the scuttle panel's out of the way, I can get to those upper guard bolts. Haha, fair shot. Let's go. That is so much easier taking it off with the snorkel on, rather than getting to, as you guys can probably see, the 8 or so snorkel bolts that you have to get to with a ring spanner down the side of the guard. It's very, very hard. So yeah, now we got this off. I might explain to you what we're doing with the snorkel. All right, so with the guards out, what are we doing with the snorkel? Now, obviously, I got the Safari snorkel on there at the moment. It's plastic ram head. I made a whole video about why I chose to go a plastic ram head over a stainless snorkel. Now, on the new build, I'm going to be sticking with that. I'm still going the plastic Safari ram head snorkel because I personally just like the way it looks on the car. I feel like, yeah, it's sort of the touring look I'm going for. So I'm keeping this on, and I'm actually keeping this exact one on because it's held up quite well in the bush. Like, it doesn't really show scratches, which is awesome. It cleans up well. And yeah, it's taken a beating and it hasn't broken or fall apart. So I'm more than happy to drill holes and put this thing back on the new guard. So you'll also see here on the old guard, this is why we're replacing it. There's a huge tear actually in the guard itself, which would require it to be repaired. It's actually even got rust forming in it too now. So that's what was causing me all my issues when I was trying to open my door and it was getting jammed and everything. Yeah, big tear through it. So on the new guard, you'll see this is actually a really clean example of one. No rust, all clear, paint's even good, no dirt or anything. So obviously it was just driven on the road, so that's awesome. So yeah, we'll get the old Safari snorkel holes templated, get some paper out, and then we can cut holes into our new guard, which is always, you know, fun. But yeah, we'll make sure we get the template right and get the holes in the right spot. Much rather be drilling the holes now than drilling them when the car's painted, freshly painted.
That is true.
I mean, we don't need to say with this, do we?
We don't.
What's done has been done.
Yeah.
And does it fit? I reckon we're on. All right, so next up is to actually remove our doors. So we've got 2 new doors, obviously driver and passenger, because these are dinted. The door cards on mine are in pretty good nick. Those had a few little imperfections. So we're gonna pull everything off. Obviously, you know, I've got the remote locking mod, which I did ages ago, which will have to get transferred into the new doors, as well as all our locks, which will also need to get transferred. But yeah, apart from that, it should be a fairly straightforward swap over. We'll just have to deal with all the wiring side of things, but it should be all pretty good. All right, all good.
Good hinges.
All right, so with the door handles out, we'll switch these back over to our old ones. I do have new ones of these, but I won't put them in yet, just to wait for the painting to be done. But yeah, we'll switch these out to our other ones, and then the door should be good to go. That
Closes nice.
That feels so much better. That feels so much more
It
solid.
just needs to be lined up. But other than that,
The door seals are great on that.
Yeah, they're heaps better.
All right, so the driver's door now is all on. Schmicko, we've leveled it, sort of got all the hinges sitting right, got all the locks working right. So yeah, really stoked with it. Yeah, it's like a perfect door, ready to be painted. Even the trim is still on good condition, because I was humming and hawing whether I'm gonna replace these or use them again. I'm tipping towards using them again, only because I did the price on how much it's gonna cost to get genuine ones, and it's insane, and I couldn't actually find genuine ones for the entire car. I only found like odd bits and bobs, so yeah, I think I'm gonna keep these ones and reuse them since they're all pretty good. But yeah, now we'll move on to the rear door and do the same thing pretty much. And yeah, hopefully it all works okay.
That actually shuts pretty well, that one. Like if you weren't painting the car, but even the panels, like the
paint's perfect.
The fade's pretty on.
You could barely tell they're different panels. Which goes to show, if you did do damage to your car, go to a wrecker's, you'd be able to sort out a new panel and make it look in, tie in pretty well, really. Cool. All right, good job, Liam.
Next up, it was time to remove all the trim pieces and flares so they wouldn't be in our way when it's time for painting.
Rusty, snappy snap.
Snappy, snappy. Suppose take the opportunity while we've got all the panels off to really get behind here and give this a bit of clean out, just of any dust that's gathered and in little hard to get places. So we'll get rid of it all. Try not to get underside the car too dirty. So another job we've got to do is actually take out this rear drawer system. Now, we're gonna have to take it out because we've got to get to a few dents in the pillars and down here, which is hard to sort of pull them out unless you can sort of get behind. And it just makes it sort of easier if we're having to work inside here. So we'll pull the drawer system out. Luckily, with the drawer company drawers, they can be disconnected like from here upwards. So I'll see if that's enough, but I'm also going to have to get in behind the trim panels on the side to remove the rear flares, which is so annoying. There's 2 bolts and I have to pull the whole thing out to get to them. But anyway, that's just the reality. So we'll start pulling this out and then hopefully we can get to those flares.
Yeah, mold.
Yeah, happens to the best of us. Just like your fridge, Liam. Are they a pair of FXDs?
Oh my god.
Mate, I've been looking for these.
Are you serious?
They must have fallen behind the back of the drawers. I was like, I knew I had pairs that weren't holy, unlike your holy pairs. And they were hiding behind my drawer system. Yep. Yep, one drawer out. Cool. I have to say, the drawer system's held up pretty well considering, I've kind of thrashed it for the past 3 years. Like, I was very skeptical to wood being a reliable drawer system.
No, it does seem to have held up well.
It's held up really well. Like, I'm super impressed.
Like everything's still solid.
And that's why it's going right back in the car. Like, it's no point changing it. I had a few small additions I wanted to make, like with that gap with the fridge and maybe tweak some little bits, but like the core structure of it, gonna keep. All the slides are good. Everything's still perfect, really, so.
So after pulling out all the drawers and my 12-volt system, I finally had access to remove the flares.
There we go. All that for one bolt. All right, now that we've got our flares off and the back all cleared out, we're going to take it out and just give it a bit of a clean because there's still heaps of dirt and grime from where these flares have been sitting. So we'll clean it all up and then we're ready to put on our new flares.
Oh, look at that.
All right, so now the 80 series is all cleaned up and the panels are back on, we're ready to talk about flares. Now, the flares I had on the car originally were just the factory ones. Since mine was a 1991 LandCruiser, I had the skinnier flares, which are fine, but if you're trying to run big tires, it can get a bit hard because you really don't want much wheel poke. So a lot of people either have a later model 80 series with wider flares, or they end up just upgrading to some sort of aftermarket flare. So I've decided to get an aftermarket flare, but still an aftermarket flare that's essentially a copy of the factory look. So these were from Replica Glass. They're not cheap. I think it was like 800 bucks for the full kit. But essentially they're reproduction Toyota 80 series GXL flares from the later 92 or 93 onwards models. So you'll notice that they're actually, I mean, it's hard to tell. We're talking like millimeters here, but they're slightly thicker than my factory flares that came on the car. So that's going to allow me to run a bigger tire with a larger offset, so I'm not worried about 35s, you know, scrubbing the guards and stuff. So these do mount a bit differently on the factory flares. They're all mounted up through bolt holes and stuff, and they're pretty secure. These kind of just drill in from the bottom of the wheel arch, so I'm slightly worried about how they're going to turn out, but I'm going to learn along with you guys, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Now, I guess we'll just go try test fit them all, and yeah, we'll see how they fit up. So that will just bolt up something like that sort of thing. A bit of playing around, but hopefully they're going to look half decent. We've got some rubbers to go with them, but yeah, we'll just see how we go. We're probably never going to get a perfect fit, you know, like we did from factory, but unfortunately, you can't. I tried buying brand new flares, can't do it from Toyota. And again, as I mentioned before, bolt holes are all in different spots, so your kind of only option is really to go like an aftermarket fiberglass, or, you know, convert your guards to old model, to new model, or yeah, it gets a bit hard. So hopefully we can make this work.
Now, to make this work, we decided to drill and use riv nuts to mount it, as it makes the flares easy to remove and reattach during the building and painting process.
All right, we're looking good. Obviously, these are still yet to be painted. So yeah, don't mind the color now, how they look. They're getting painted. But yeah, once you get the rear on, it should all turn out really well. Definitely got a bit more guard coverage, which is good. And yeah, they all fit up too bad. We'll see how the rears go though. They're gonna be they look like they're a bit of a challenge, but yeah, these weren't too bad. All right, so it's been a bit of work getting all these flares to actually mount up to the car and sit where they should be sitting. How do you think they've gone, Liam?
Oh, like they're pretty good, considering they're like a replica mold. Like they're pretty good. This side's probably...
We've probably been at work on this side for an hour.
The front was actually really good, I'd say. Yeah. The other side went on pretty well. This side we've been finicking around with a bit. I'm probably not the biggest fan about, like it's still solid, but I'm not the biggest fan about how they mount, and that you can only fix them through the base into the body. There's nothing like the original that bridges the flare to the body and pulls it in. It's just upwards force from below. So in order to mount it at the right height, because this is a mold, you know, and that this is the way it is. If you want to pull it up against the bottom, it's going to bring it high. Yeah. I have to use packers to bring it back down so that it sits right. So,
like in the kit, it just came with a bunch of like little screws, and they want you to put a screw in every like 100 mil.
And they were % screws as well. And mine and Paddy's concern was like, we've got to put these on to test them before paint, then pull them off, and probably pull them off a couple more times. And then how many times does it take to pull the screws out?
I didn't want to drill like 50 holes in these doors just to put on some flares. Yeah. So we've been able to do this. Literally, we haven't drilled a hole into the door, have we? We just reused holes that are already in. Apart from a couple underneath.
Yeah. Apart from into the.
But like, we've been able to do it by just basically reusing holes and making it all mount. So it's all coming together. They're all looking good. Just a bit finicky, but we're getting there.
Once we were happy with how the flares were mounting, we could then take off the last of the trims and give the car a big final wash before removing the windscreens.
Now, part of the respray, we're actually going to be taking out the rear window and the front window just so they can better get into all the spots, especially where the clear coat's all gone. Like, if they want to repair the paint properly, they really want to be able to get into all there. So we're going to take out the windscreen just to make their life easier. Never taken out a windscreen before, especially a rear one like this in the 80 series. So we'll see how he goes. A few bits of trim in it and stuff that will have to come out with it. But yeah, Liam and I will figure it out. Oh, there it goes. Hey, we saved it. So that was on the outside. You'll see here, it's got this like chrome trim around it, which Liam and I weren't too sure how. Because yeah, we were looking at stuff online. And everyone was just like hacking at it and cutting it out. But
just the same as any other windscreen, really.
Yeah, and the best thing is there's no rust.
And with the front window being that bit newer, it was even easier to take out. And with the car now ready to go to the painters, it was time to get it on the trailer. Not before changing the wheels to a smaller tyre so we could actually fit the thing on.
Yeah, all good, all good. Nice out. Even out the trailer a bit.
Alright, so we got the 80 series all loaded up on the trailer. It's ready to head down to the painters. Now, I can't believe this day is actually here. It's been a long time coming, but we'll bring it down to our mate Brett, who you might remember helped out Liam on the GQ rebuild. So he helped out with all the panel work and of course the painting, and he's been kind enough to give me a chop out with the 80 series. So he's got a fair bit of work ahead of him. Still a fair few did snow on it, but that's all gonna be tackled in the next episode. So can't wait for it, guys. Get subscribed if you're enjoying this, and we'll see you all in the next one.